Dear listener, you have to go right now. Please, I want you to go to the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store because there's so much there waiting for you. So much. T-shirts, hats. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And then you've got hoodies and pens and mugs. Oh my goodness me, it just never ends. I mean, you can get lost in there. You really can. So much more. Drinkware. Socks. That's right, socks. I mean, if you want to get fitted and kitted, this is the place to be. The Politicrat Daily Podcast online store. Shop there right now at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. That's the-politicrat.myshopify.com. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Sunday, April the 25th, 2021. On this edition of the Politicrat.
And the Oscar goes to Halle Berry in Monsters Ball.
This is the first Oscar for Halle Berry. She garnered rave reviews in 1999 for her Emmy award-winning performance in the lead in Introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
The Oscars are tonight, and I will be talking about the Oscars on this episode of The Politicrat, right after this.
This moment is so much bigger than me. This moment is for Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, Diane Carroll. It's for the women that stand beside me. Jada Pinkett, Angela Bassett, Vivica Fox, and it's for every nameless, faceless woman of color that now has a chance because his door tonight has been opened.
I have to tell you, dear listener, and welcome to this edition, that Halle Berry, and that's who you heard just then, back in 2002 in her Oscars acceptance speech. I think her acceptance speech was really profound. She had become the first black woman ever in that moment to have won Best Actress at the Academy Awards, which now tonight will have its 93rd iteration. And she is still the only black woman ever to have won the Best Actress Oscar. Now that is a disgrace, and the Academy needs to fix that. It's possible that the Academy could fix that tonight if Viola Davis wins for her performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I'll get to the Oscars tonight in a few short minutes, but that speech, part of that speech you just heard there, which was the first portion of her speech, I mean, listening to that again now, 19 years later, gives me goosebumps. Goosebumps. Halle Berry that night had won for Best Actress in the film Monsters Ball. A film that I didn't think A, was very good, and a film that I think B, didn't have any particularly great performances in it, perhaps except for Heath Ledger. I believe Heath Ledger was in that movie, if I remember correctly. And I've got to tell you, dear listener, sorry to pour cold water on things, as I've been known to do. But I do think that Halle Berry's performance, to me, was not particularly great. And I didn't like the role she played. I really didn't like the role she played. Now, if you've seen Monsters Ball, you may agree with me, or you may not. But if you haven't seen Monsters Ball, I am telling you, I don't think that performance was very good, especially, even more than the performance. It wasn't a terrible performance. Let me get it right. It was not a bad performance. It just, to me, was not the one that was the best that year in 2001. Of course, they always do the Oscars the year after for the film year that just finished, if you understand what I mean. Which is what they're doing tonight in the 2021 Oscars, which is, is held in 2021, is celebrating the best of the previous year, the pandemic year, in this case, 2020. These will be the pandemic Oscars tonight, and I'll get into them a few minutes from now. But in 2001, I do not think that performance that Halle Berry did in Monsters Ball was the one that was the best. And you know about the Oscars, the politics, everything else. But one of the things that you wouldn't have seen because you're only listening here is that one of the people applauding, in fact, all of the people applauding, they went to the other four actresses, and I don't like to use that word, so I'm going to say actors because it should be gender neutral. And I love how the SAG, Screen Actors Guild Awards, does this. They make it so that you have male actors and female actors, and that's really how it should be throughout all of these awards shows, but they don't do it like that in the Oscars. They've never done it like that at the Oscars. I would love to see them do it like that at the Oscars. But the other four nominees in the lead actress or lead acting category, I think it was Nicole Kidman. If I remember correctly, that year, Nicole Kidman's in it, Renee Zellweger, and I forget the others. Sissy Spacek was another. And I believe there was another as well, and I forget whom it was. I think it could have been Dame Judi Dench or Helen Mirren, one of the two of them. Bottom line is that the person who should have won that year was Sissy Spacek. Sissy Spacek has been doing good work generally, I think, all her career. I mean, a lot of people know her from Carrie. A lot of people know her from a coal miner's daughter. Those are some really good performances. And I think she had won for Coal Miner's Daughter back in, 1980? Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Maybe 1980, 82, 81, 79, somewhere around there. So Sissy Spacek... Let me say that again. Sissy Spacek had already won an Oscar. And she won it for Coal Miner's Daughter, if memory serves me correctly. But Sissy Spacek was in a film in 2001 called In the Bedroom. In the Bedroom was a good film. Powerful film. As was Monsters Ball was a powerful film. I didn't think it was a good film, but Monsters Ball was a powerful film. In the Bedroom was both powerful and a good film. And it was littered with great performances. Tom Wilkinson was very good in that film. Nick Stahl was very good in that film. There was another actor, I forget her name. She was very good in that film. And Sissy Spacek was excellent in that film. But Sissy Spacek did not win. Sissy Spacek won, if memory serves me correctly, for the Screen Actors Guild Award that year. And usually, the Screen Actors Guild is a good indication, not always, but it usually is a good indication of what's going to happen in the same category at the Oscars. Now, why is that? Well, it's quite simple. It's because the acting branch that votes in the Screen Actors Guild are generally the very same people that vote in the Oscars acting branch for the Academy Awards. And unless there is a decision to change their vote when it comes to Oscar time, the Screen Actors Guild winner often, not always, often mirrors and is the harbinger of who the Oscar winner will be. But that year, the upset happened. I guess the apple cart got overturned and Halle Berry ended up winning. And hence this really good speech she gave, which I think was better than her performance in the actual movie. The authenticity, I think her authenticity in the film was good, but I just didn't listen. I don't know if you're a film person or not, dear listener, but I can tell you that as someone who is a film critic and has written about film extensively for many a year and needs to get back into doing that a little bit more often than I do, I can tell you this. I think that Halle Berry's speech was one of the really good speeches at the Academy. There was a lot of authenticity in that speech. It was real. You heard it. You heard the start of it. You heard the reaction that she had to winning. She was on the stage. That last portion you heard a few minutes ago, was her on the stage just crying because she probably couldn't believe it, number one. And number two, it was a historic moment. It was an historic moment being played out live all around the world, maybe close to 1 billion people watching in over 200 countries. A packed auditorium, which you're not going to get tonight because this is going to be a different affair. I think it will be held at the Kodak, but it's going to be a bit more physically distanced, if not anything else. So it will be a little bit different tonight. But 19 years ago, back in 2002, that speech, and I'm going to play the rest of that speech in the not too distant future in this particular episode. That speech was rather good. I thought it was really good, and it meant a lot. That's what I remember about Halle Berry accepting that Oscar as the first and only to this day, first and only black woman to have won Best Actress. You would have thought that with all those performances of her now, and this is what, the 70-something, that was the 74th Academy Awards. It's now, tonight will be the 93rd. And from that time in 2002 to this, there has not been a black woman again winning the Oscar for Best Actress. Not one. Viola Davis should have done it for The Help. That didn't happen. Meryl Streep won her 3rd Oscar for The Iron Lady, playing Margaret Thatcher. There have been other opportunities since, but none of them have cashed in. And Viola Davis has a chance tonight to win that Oscar for Best Actress. I'll get into some of the contenders in a few short minutes, I promise. But I wanted to start with Halle Berry because that speech to me, and there's a lot of other speeches that mean something. You can look at the Sidney Poitier speech that he gave back in 1964 for Lilies of the Field, which was, again, I didn't think that was his best performance. And I don't think that was the best film he was in either. I'm not necessarily a fan of Lilies of the Field. I don't think it's the worst film on earth, but it's not a film I could ever look at now. Having watched it once, years and years ago, I cannot watch Lilies of the Field again. I can't do it. And I did not particularly think that Sidney's performance was extra special. Now, in The Heat of the Night and in A Raisin in the Sun, those two movies, you can talk to me all day long. We can talk all day about how great Sidney was, especially in A Raisin in the Sun. And also, of course, in The Heat of the Night. Two movies that actually bookended Lilies of the Field. Raisin in the Sun was in the early part of the 1960s, and then In the Heat of the Night was in the latter part of the 60s, and Lilies of the Field was in 63. Raisin in the Sun, I believe, was in 1961 or thereabouts. And as I said, 63 was Lilies of the Field, and then in 1967 was In the Heat of the Night. And those are his two best performances, sandwiched around a film that he won an Oscar for, that he wasn't, to me, that good in, Lilies of the Field. And the other two films that he was excellent in, he didn't get nominated in. He wasn't nominated in A Raisin in the Sun, to the best of my memory, and he definitely wasn't nominated for Best Actor in the Heat of the Night. Now, how on earth does the Academy pull that trick off? Well, Omar, it's because 95% of the Academy membership is white and 93% of it is male. And 85% of it is over the age of 65. Now, that horrible Southern accent I just did is really not to be correlated with what I said and what you heard come out of my mouth, dear listener, because these folks who are white, male, and generally over 65, they represent the average age of and the average complexion, or the complexion of the Oscar membership. And they all live, many of them live out here in California, or they live on the East Coast in New York. And they are dotted around various parts of the globe as well. But the point is that you've got and I've sat next to, I know some of the Academy members, and I'm not talking about the celebrity ones, I've sat next to, in auditoria, Academy members. We've had conversations. And they look like ordinary people, just like you and me. Except if you're white, they look ordinary to you because you're probably more familiar with them than I am. But put it this way. I walk down the street and see people who look like Academy members, right? And you wouldn't know the difference. They don't have a Scarlet A or a Golden A in this case, or a Golden O for Oscar. Scarlet A for Academy, tattooed on their foreheads or tattooed on their clothing. They are as generic as they come and as literally as vanilla as they come. You wouldn't know them from anybody. It's kind of like incognito. You would not have a clue who these individuals are. But these are the people who vote in your Oscar winners. They vote in your Emma Stones for La La Land. La 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 Land. Those are the kinds of people who are voting for those kinds of winners. And again, you know, Halle Berry's speech was meaningful. Sidney Poitier's speech was meaningful, both in 64 and his Academy Award-winning speech for the Lifetime Honorary Achievement Award. It was his honorary Oscar, but it was the Lifetime Achievement Award Oscar, where he gave an excellent speech that very same night as Halle Berry did in 2002. Denzel Washington, of course, as well won that year. So they were the first time ever we had two black winners of the top two acting awards. It had never happened before in 73 previous years. But it happened on that night, and Sidney ended up getting the Lifetime Achievement Oscar. And all those speeches were really good speeches. All three of them were that night. And those speeches are important, just like Halle Berry's speech was back in 1939 or 40, was very important. Very important. I didn't like Hattie McDaniel playing that role. I didn't like the role, but she did a good job. And as Halle Berry once said to an interviewer or to a friend of hers, and I'm paraphrasing now, it is better to play a maid than to be a maid. And she's absolutely right. That's never been not true. And Hattie McDaniel gave a great speech on the night of the Oscars back in 1939 or 40. I think it was 1940. And it was such a humbling, touching speech. She was so humble. And she just, she talked about being a credit to her race and I don't remember all of the speech. I wasn't around for it, but I've watched her speech in the past. And I should probably play that as well. But I did want to play all of Halle Berry's because that one to me was really good. It was really meaningful. And Hattie McDaniel, really meaningful speech. and other winners. Viola Davis's speeches that she's done in any number of award shows. And when she won the Oscar for Fences, really meaningful. And that's what is important when black people win these awards. Their speeches mean something. And tonight, there are going to be some black winners tonight. Let's make no mistake. Chadwick Boseman is likely, in my view, to win tonight for Best Actor. And I'll go through the actor nominees. And it will be a posthumous Oscar for his work in the film Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I think that's going to happen. I think that's pretty much a lock to happen. And then I think Viola Davis has a very good shot at winning Best Actress for the same film. Although Viola Davis does not have a lead role. That's a support role. I think everybody who's watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and it is on Netflix streaming now. Dear listener, it's streaming now. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is available on Netflix. So if you watch that film, tell me whether you think Viola Davis's performance is a lead performance or a supporting performance. Only your eyes will know for sure. I would like to know what you think. If you have seen it, let me know. Email at politicratpod@gmail.com, if you please. Or if not, you can tweet, you can Facebook. Just let me know. You can tweet at the popcorn, REEL. But I'm just curious what you may think about that, because I don't think that's a lead performance. But the point is that you will see some black winners tonight. You will see some Asian winners tonight. And I am pleased about that too. I'm pleased about the fact that we are going to have at least 2 black winners. And it may not be Viola Davis. It may be somewhere else, because there's a good bet that Frances McDormand may win her third Oscar tonight for Nomadland, which she was excellent in. The film, I think, will win Best Picture. But again, I'll get to all of that shortly. We'll see. This is something. This is really something tonight. We're going to have some black ones. We're going to have some Asian winners. We had Asian winners last year, of course, for Parasite. It was such a great moment, I think, to see Asian filmmakers really doing very well at the Oscars, because the Oscars have completely ignored them, with some very small exceptions. I mean, Ang Lee might be the only Asian, and Hong Nor may be the only 2 Asian people ever to have won Oscars. I mean, good grief. There are a couple of others, but there's never been a Best Actor Asian winner. I've never seen that happen. And I don't think there's ever been an Asian person who has won either Best Actor or Best Actress. Someone can correct me, but I don't think that's true in the Academy Awards. Has that ever happened? There's a chance it could this year. You've got Stephen Yeun for Minari. You've got Riz Ahmed for Sounds of Metal, I think it's called. Or Sounds of Steel, I forget which. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a diverse group. You could see Daniel Kaluuya winning in a supporting category. The black British actor, Mr. Kaluuya, who of course was very well known to us all in the film Get Out from 4 years ago. He is up for an Oscar in the supporting role of Mr. Fred Hampton. And he was really good in the film. It's called Judas and the Black Messiah. It's also streaming. It's on HBO Max. So you can check that out. I think it's still on HBO. It may not be in HBO Max anymore. May not be, but we'll see. You can check it out if it. Take a look. It's on HBO, but you can see if it is or not on HBO Max. So also you've got Lakeith Stanfield in that same supporting actor category. So you never know. There could well be a black winner there. So we're gonna have some color. Hello, we're gonna have some black folk winning some Oscars, and we're gonna have Asians winning some Oscars. And we're going to have a female director winning an Oscar. an Asian female director winning an Oscar. It's going to happen tonight. And you can't stop history. Even when the gatekeepers who hate it want to hate it some more. Dear listener, I hope that you are having a good Sunday as we are almost at the end of the month of April. My goodness me, by the time you get to next Sunday, in fact, by the time you get to next Saturday, it's going to be a brand new month. Oh my God. Where did April go? As the first month of the second quarter of 2021 is almost already in the books. Oh my goodness me. It's going to be July 4th before you turn around. It's going to be summertime very soon. And my God, it's just crazy, isn't it? I just want to know something before I get back to the Oscars. I want to know, I really do want to know, are you taking care of your health, dear listener? Are you taking care of your health? Because you've only got one life here on this planet. And it is so important that you get a checkup. No matter how you feel, if you feel like you're in the best of health, if you feel like you're down in the dumps in the worst of health, if you feel like, I'm just sailing along, singing a song side by side, it doesn't matter. You've got to go and get a checkup. You have to. You have to. Whether it's checking out your heart and your heart rate, your heart health, whether it is checking out your cholesterol level, whether it is checking out, getting a COVID test if you need one for whatever reason, whether it is a mammogram, no matter what, you've got to do this for your health, whether it's prostate health, whether it's your health, again, I say, check yourself out at the hospital, at the doctors, whatever it is. Please make sure you go to your doctor to get a checkup. You never know what may be in your body. And I would hate for you to find out the hard way. You know what I mean? You feel that lump in your breast, in your testicle. And then it becomes touch and go, doesn't it? So, look, while I urge everyone listening to do those kinds of checks on themselves on a daily basis, check for lumps, check for bumps in all the appropriate places. Really, whether it's breasts, whether it's testicles, whatever, be proactive about your health today, dear listener, please. I cannot emphasize it anymore. I really can't. You have to do these things. And that also means you have to go to the doctors. And I know a lot of men in particular do not like to go to doctors. And I'm telling you, men out there listening, you've got to go. And by the way, black men, prostate health is so important. It's one of the leading killers of black men is prostate cancer. Please get your prostate checked. Please. It's so important. And do not wait either. Don't wait. Don't wait till you get to 50 or 40. Do it, really, in your 30s. Do it. Really, or maybe even younger than that. It's never too late to get these things checked. It's never too late. But I really would ask you that the earlier you do this, the better, because early detection saves lives. So please, no matter what your health is, please get checked now. Go to a doctor for a checkup. You never, ever know, right? Please. And if you don't have health insurance and you're living in the United States of America, please make sure you sign up right now for affordable health care at healthcare.gov. That's healthcare.gov right now for affordable health care. It will make all the difference to you. If you do not have health insurance, you really do need to sign up right now. Believe me, signing up for health care, no matter what you get, whether it's affordable health care or whether it's through a plan directly, whatever you do, it's going to be something that's going to be very important to you, and you'll be thankful for it. So please, get checked and do not delay. Do it today. Thank you. So here's how the Oscars shape up. It's going to be a different ceremony, but it's not going to be that different in the sense that there won't be an audience. There will be an audience at the Dolby Theater tonight. There will be. There will be one there. It's going to be a bit more physically distanced, and it will actually be a shorter ceremony. I guess really the question becomes, which will be longer? One of the episodes of the Politicrat Daily podcast or the Oscars? I mean, it's debatable. It's debatable. Which of those two is gonna be longer? I think the Oscars will be. I think it's safe to say that the Oscars will be. However, the Oscars are doing something a little bit differently this year, today, than they have in the past, which is to do some of the nominated songs before the ceremony. Now, in many years now, for many years, I don't know if they ever did this before a certain time period, but for many years now, there have been, on the night of the Oscars, the night of the actual ceremony, during the actual telecast, there have been the performances of all the songs, or many of the songs. This particular Oscars tonight, it's not happening that way. The performances of the 5 nominated original songs for the Best Original Song Oscar will be done before the telecast even begins. So this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Pacific US time, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern time in the US, the nominees for the original songs will perform those songs. So for an hour and a half, or during an hour and a half prior to the Oscars ceremony, you're going to have people like Celeste and Her and Leslie Odom Jr. and Laura Pausini and Daniel Pemberton, Molly Sand, and Diane Warren, who is a legendary writer of song. Diane Warren's written a lot of great material that has won Oscars. They'll all perform the 5 nominated original songs for tonight. I mean, that's really something. I mean, that, and before the ceremony, which is not the worst idea in the world, I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think so. And in case you don't know who the original songs are, for the nominees of those, I'll tell you who they are. Fight for You is the song from Judas and the Black Messiah. Her is the lyric writer. And she's also the person who put the music together, along with Ernst Emil II. Tiara Thomas also co-wrote the song. Hear My Voice from the Trial of Chicago 7, written by Daniel Pemberton and Celeste Waite, with music by Mr. Pemberton. Mr. Pemberton, Daniel Pemberton, has done some really good scores. I like his score for... Do you remember the film Ocean's... Was it Ocean's 7 or Ocean's 8? Ocean's 8. Do you remember that movie? Ocean's 8. I think it was with, it was the one with 8 women involved in that movie. It was Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett and, Awkwafina. I can only remember 3. Rihanna. Oh my gosh, how could I not remember Rihanna? So those are among the 8 women from that particular movie. I think it was called Ocean's 8. Something like that. And it came out a few years ago. Daniel Pemberton's music for that, I love the score for that. I like it. It's kind of this, not techno exactly, but it's, I don't know, electronica. I don't know. It's this kind of, I don't know what that is, but there's a particular tune on there that's really good. Really good. I might just play that, a bit of that before the podcast is over, but maybe not. I don't know. Hear My Voice is one of the nominees. Husavik from the Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. Music and lyric by Savan Kotecha, Fat Max, Sus, and Ricard Goranson. IOC Scene, The Life Ahead, La Vita Davanti a Se. Music by Diane Warren, lyric by Diane Warren and Laura Pausini, and then the final song, Speak Now, from One Night in Miami. Music and lyric by Leslie Odom Jr. and Sam Ashworth. And then that's interesting. Leslie Odom Jr. is nominated tonight, if I'm not mistaken, for a Best Supporting Actor nomination for One Night in Miami. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is, and I'll get to the nominees in a few minutes. But Speak Now from One Night in Miami is the rounds out the 5 original song nominees, and they'll be performed tonight. Now, that's a good thing. Good. That's really good. We like that. I think it's a good idea. And by the way, when this pandemic dies down finally and we have far, far less of a virus that's around on this planet, can we keep it that way so that the original song nominees are done, pre-recorded before the actual ceremony? I think that will save time. And the Academy Awards, hence my whole little joke at the beginning here, a few minutes ago, of this block, about which is going to be longer, the Oscar ceremony or a podcast episode from the Politicrat Daily podcast, is a joke, but it's kind of, serious too. It's a kidding on the square, that old Massachusetts saying. Because the Academy Awards for years, as well as this podcast at times, has struggled to find a reasonable duration, so that people aren't going to bed on the East Coast at midnight 30. 12:30 in the morning, Monday morning you got to go to work, or, maybe your home is your workplace these days with this pandemic. But the point is, in years past, when there was no pandemic around, after 1918 and 19, but before 2020, these Oscars were going for 3.5, 4 hours, sometimes longer. The goal was to try to get these Oscars to be under 3 hours. That was considered a moral victory of sorts, if you could. But that almost never happens. And so I think this particular Oscars is going to be the first one that does make it to under 3 hours. Because of the way they're structuring certain things, some of the stuff may be pre-recorded. I think it's going to be almost all live, except for the fact that the music, original song, will not be part of the actual live telecast, which is going out before 200 countries, which means that you're going to have at least 1 billion or more people tuning in at any given moment. The Academy is trying, I think, with this format to make sure that these Oscars sit within 3 hours. And I hope it does. I hope that it does. And I don't know if it will, but I'm expecting, I'll predict, dear listener, that these Academy Awards will come in right at 3 hours or less. I do think that the song not being performed, the best songs, original songs, I think that's a help. That will help. So I think it will be 3 hours or less tonight. We'll see. So let me read to you some of the nominees. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm going to just go through the acting nominees and Best Picture, obviously, as well, and Best Director. So that amounts to the acting nominees and Best Picture and Best Director. That's a total of 6. So let's look at the categories. The actor in let's go with actress first. Actress in a leading role, Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day, The U.S. vs. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby, Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand, Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. These are 5 really solid nominees. I want to just say that, by the way, and I'm going to just give my little editorializing on the individuals that I read out, or the persons or films that I do. These are really good nominees. I have had occasion to see all 5 of these, and my goodness me, these are really strong nominees. And one may argue that there are some nominees who belong here that aren't actually on this list. And that would not be the first time that we've said that about an Academy Awards nominations list. Now, would it be? But all of these 5 people did very good work. And I know some people thought that Vanessa Kirby wasn't all that great in Pieces of a Woman. I thought she was very good. And I thought that, and I do continue to think, that she deserves to be on this list. Frances McDormand, I think, was astounding in Nomadland. That is what acting is like. I am of the view, and I sometimes change my mind on this kind of view, but I am of the view, dear listener, that a performance should be so good as to be seamless, meaning that you shouldn't be seeing the theatrics of a performance. You should just be seeing the person be who they are and not be over the top with it and not be so theatrical with their acting. And I think that Frances McDormand's performance is an example of that. And of course, it depends on the kind of character they're playing in the film, and it depends on what the film's about, and if the film's bombastic, and I get it. There are performances where you need to shout, and those can be still good as well. They still can be good too. But I really like what Frances McDormand did in Nomadland. It was one of the most naturalistic types of acting I've seen this past year, and I haven't seen a whole heck of a lot this past year, but I can tell you that I liked Frances McDormand's performance. I think of all of the performances here, that one is the best one. Andra Day was absolutely magnificent as Lady Day in The United States versus Billie Holiday, a film that I think is a good film, not a great film. I think it's a bit too long. Lee Daniels, and it comes with the typical trademark Lee Daniels things in the movie. If you haven't seen it, it's streaming on Hulu. But Andra Day, I think this is the first big screen lead role she's had, if not the first big screen role. She's excellent here in the title role of Lady Day, Billie Holiday. Just a superb performance. It's kind of the performance, if you want to gauge how strong this performance is, and it's not fair to compare, but we all do it, don't we now? This one's better than that one. This one's smaller than that one. This one's larger than that one. This one's longer than that one. That one's better than... I can go on and on. You get it. We all do it. We're human beings. We compare things. And it's not fair. But we do it. It's how we classify and categorize. And perhaps, maybe that's an element that we do before fulfillment. And I'm not talking sexual fulfillment. I'm talking about fulfillment in our hearts, although sex can do that too, I guess. Your heart is full. But I'm talking about fulfillment of your heart and soul. When you've been able to say, I'm going to pick that for my grocery shopping, and I'm going to buy that one because it looks a little better. It looks a little bigger. It looks a little bit more rich and robust. Right? So you pick that one off the shelf, the one that looks more rich and robust and bigger. Even though the price is maybe not that much different. It might be actually the same. But that one looks a bit bigger. That croissant over there looks bigger. That slice of chocolate cake over there looks bigger. It looks better. It looks more chocolatey. So you pick that one, right? And then you buy it. So I want to compare, having talked about chocolate cake and indulging in it for the celebration of a football club that I will not name here because I named them all episode yesterday. And you can go and find out all about that in yesterday's episode, Saturday, April 24th, 2021's episode of the Politicrat Daily Podcast. I will leave that there. But in the name of comparisons, Andra Day's performance in the United States versus Billie Holiday is akin to the performance that Marion Cotillard gave in the film La Vie en Rose when she played Edith Piaf. Edith Piaf is the performance as the French songstress who is just absolutely brilliant. And Marion Cotillard was just absolutely superb. And this is the same feeling I get about Andra Day. Andra Day is superb in the United States versus Billie Holiday. And I hope she wins. That's the person I will be rooting for most tonight out of all of these nominees. And Viola Davis was very good in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but not her best work. And I don't think that as likely as she could be to win tonight, I do not think it's her best work. And I do think that Andra Day's performance in the film The U.S. versus Billie Holiday is a stronger performance. I do. I think Andra Day has to do more. I think she has to be pushed more. I don't think that, it doesn't mean that I don't think Viola Davis wasn't pushed, that she didn't push herself to do more. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's more range to what Andra Day does, in my view, than what Viola Davis does in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I just think so. I think that Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, if you look at Viola Davis's performance in that, on Netflix, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. And for those of you who have seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, if you look at Viola Davis's performance, it's a fairly, I'm being honest, and it may come across as being harsh, but it's a fairly one-note performance. There isn't, in my view, a great deal of range or transition in that performance. I'm sorry, Viola Davis is one of the best actors on earth. There's no question about it. She's not just because of the awards, because that's not what I define as meaning that you're a great actor, but just the what she does on screen is brilliant. It is really brilliant. It is sometimes very clear what she's doing. Sometimes it's not quite clear what she's doing. Sometimes she reveals what she's doing later in a performance rather than putting it all on the table before you. She's very dexterous as a performer, as an actor. She's very dexterous. And sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. And that's what I love about Viola Davis's work. She layers her work in ways that are very, very, very nuanced and very precisely nuanced. And then there's times in her work where everything is out on the table, but then it serves a place because there's somewhere else that she is going to go, that puts what she's put, that frames what she's put before you in a context. And boom. Viola Davis is I don't think she gets the credit she deserves. Because if she did, she'd have more Oscars. She'd have more Tonys. She'd have more Emmys. She'd have more of everything. A Grammy is the only thing that's eluding her, I think. And Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I don't think she's quite as good. But I do think Andra Day is brilliant in the U.S. versus Billie Holiday. And I think Vanessa Kirby is very good. I don't think she's as good as Andra Day in the U.S. v. Billie Holiday. And Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman is very good, but I don't think she's quite as good as Andra Day. Frances McDormand is excellent. And Carey Mulligan is startlingly brilliant. I was scared of her. I have to confess to you, dear listener, watching Promising Young Woman, which I think is a brilliant film. I think it's an excellent film. I still haven't done my 10 best, have I? Naughty. But I promise that is on my 10 best. I've not published it, not written it. But Promising Young Woman is on that list. I think it's a very strong movie. I think I was afraid of Carey Mulligan. Not in the way I was afraid of Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. I was afraid because I didn't know what was going to happen next. And that's another thing. Again, I talked about this Viola Davis to a degree. You don't know what's coming with Carey Mulligan in this particular film. You just don't know what's coming. I'm not giving anything away. No spoiler alert to give. It's just another very clever performance. So that's what I'm looking at here. It's a strong category this year, and I'm so pleased with that. And I think when it all comes down here tonight, this is going to be between three actors. Viola Davis, Andra Day, and Frances McDormand. And that's what I think is going to happen. And knowing the Academy Awards and what it likes to do with picking particular black roles, and if those black people in those roles if it's a negative role, the Academy is going to go for that. I'm telling you. I have a feeling that we're going to not be focusing on Andra Day tonight. So by a process of elimination, I think the Academy is going to pick either and the voting is obviously already in. And only two people know for sure. The folks at PricewaterhouseCoopers. They're the only ones. Those two guys carrying the briefcases. At least we think they're the only two. You know, the Oscars had a scandal about that a few years ago too. Remember the whole thing about the envelope and La La Land and Moonlight and, we got the wrong envelope. Somebody gave us the wrong one and we got that, and Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, Bonnie and Clyde, they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out which envelope it was, and they read the wrong one because somebody left the one for La La Land there. And by the way, that was La La Land that Emma Stone won for, so you had Warren Beatty, knowing he was reading the wrong thing, continue to read the wrong thing out. Because Faye Dunaway was like, well, I'm not so sure here. Or was it the other way around? Was it Warren Beatty that wasn't so sure, or was it Faye Dunaway? And remember that whole thing? That happened 4 years ago. The whole embarrassment. No, I'm not going to play it. And then, oh, La La Land won. Oh, Best Picture. Whoa, 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 whoa. And we were all, some of us were all throwing up. I wasn't throwing up, but I was throwing up in my mind. I was throwing up. Mental throw up. You know, you have those moments where you mentally throw up in your mind. When something happens and you know it ain't right. And so you mentally throw up. Right? And that was the moment for me. I mentally threw up. When I heard the name La La Land being read for Best Picture. Because you and I, dear listener, know that La La Land wasn't Best Picture in 2017. When it was read out, we knew it wasn't. And so, about 5 minutes later, it literally wasn't. Because, oh, stop, said the producer of La La Land, with the so-called Best Picture award tucked in his pocket. Oh, no, there's a mistake. Oh, no, it's actually you guys won it. Moonlight won. The Best Picture of the year is Moonlight. And you got Barry Jenkins, my man there, Barry Jenkins, in disbelief. And then they all trudge up there, Barry and, Mahershala Ali, who won the Oscar that night in supporting role. He's won 2 Oscars in supporting roles. 2 out of 2 nominations, 2 Oscars. Just like Christoph Waltz, right? 2 nominations, 2 Oscars, both supporting roles in Quentin Tarantino movies. So Mahershala Ali, he walked up there. They all walk up there. I think Janelle Monáe walked up there, and this and all of them did. Trudged up there, and it was just so odd. And I think that was deliberate. Sorry, I think it was deliberate. So you had a black director winning for Best Picture, which is only the second time ever that had happened. Remember, the previous one was 12 Years a Slave. Steve McQueen was the black director at the time, and still is black, and he still is here, and he's still a director. So I didn't get any of that wrong. And no jokes about Steve McQueen, please. Because, I'm sure that the brother has heard that joke, in quotes, quote-unquote joke, so many times. Were you in Bullet? Were you in The Getaway? Were you in the Thomas Crown affair? I'm sure that my good man, Steve McQueen, has had it up to here. Invisible asterisks, invisible ceilings here, with all of these so-called jokes about Bullet and Thomas Crown affair and The Getaway, and you get the idea, right? But Steve McQueen has done some excellent directing, and my goodness gracious me, he won. He didn't win Best Director, but he won Best Picture, and he was a producer as well, so he won the Oscar for that, if I'm not mistaken. So Barry Jenkins and Steve McQueen, the only 2 black directors to have won for Best Picture. Now, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong on that, because Spike Lee has never won for Best Picture for anything, but which is just a travesty that Do the Right Thing didn't win for Best Picture or Best Screenplay Original. That's just incredible. And that film continues to stand the test of time because, well, not only because it's a great film, but also because look at all that's going on around us. Hello? George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Dante Wright, Adam Toledo, Andrew Brown. Nobody really talks very much about him. There's so many people who've been killed that we don't even know of. There was someone on Twitter who posted a thread yesterday, the day before, of black folk this year who have been killed, and last year too, but particularly this year. Some of whom were killed on the same day that George Floyd was murdered. And killed by police. Like, there's one in Arizona, May 25th of last year. If I may divert for a second. He was killed on the same friggin' day that George Floyd was. But because, of course, George Floyd's may have been caught on video, and I think this brother's was too. Because of that, and how evil that was, that knocked everything off the front page. Including the one in Arizona. And I guess it was covered locally, but what? Really? Same day. And then, believe me, these things do happen on the same day. but they never get talked about or they never make the national news. Isn't that evil? Well, there'll be Oscars making the national news and international news, I can guarantee you. But my whole point is that this thing tonight in the Best Actress race is going to come down to Viola Davis and Frances McDormand. I don't think enough people in the Academy saw Andra Day's work in the US v. Billie Holiday, even though that movie has come out. It's been out for a little while, but I think people are going to be looking at at Viola Davis and Vanessa Kirby, and Frances McDormand. And Frances McDormand has already won 2 Oscars. Viola Davis has won 1. The question is, will Viola Davis have a second Oscar in her cabinet by the end of tonight? I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be very, very close. Very close indeed. I think McDormand, and don't forget, McDormand already won twice. She won just 3 or 4 years ago for 3 Billboards. And I did not like 3 Billboards as a movie. That's the one with Sam Rockwell and Frances McDormand and a few other people. And Sam Rockwell won for that movie too. And I just thought, no. I mean, Sam Rockwell's a good actor, but he wasn't that good in 3 Billboards. And I think 3 Billboards also won the screenplay as well. Martin something. Oh, crikey. My brain is just, it's when you get older. You start to lose brain cells and you can't remember things. You really can't remember. It's really true. You cannot remember. It's honestly, and it's not. And so, I mean, there might be maybe a few people who worry about an onset of dementia. And I'm being very serious here when I say this, dear listener. That's possible. You never know. That's why I say get checked out. And, you don't know. You don't know. But honestly, you get to a certain age and you literally forget things. And I'm known to have a very good memory and a very precise one. And yet, cannot remember the last name of that director. And I interviewed him once. I think it's Martin McDonagh. Oh, jeez, I can't believe. Martin McDonagh. Oh, crikey. Martin McDonagh won the original screenplay or was it adapted? I forget which, for 3 Billboards. And I just did not think that film was very good. I didn't think that the performance by Frances McDormand was all that. It was this very cartoonish, shit-kicking role that a woman plays that really is kind of the replication of what a lot of toxic masculinity is. Honestly. I mean, in some ways. That's how I look at it. Honestly. I really do. But that's just me. And she may well win again tonight. Frances McDormand is someone who I think is a very good actor. I do think she's very good. From the time I first saw her in the film Mississippi Burning, which was an awful movie that pretended that the FBI really loved black people in 1964, because, of course, J. Edgar Hoover had so much love for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He had so much love for Malcolm X and for Medgar Evers and for the black movements, the Black Panthers. He loved them. Didn't he love them? Didn't he invite them over to the FBI building and buy them all dinner? No, he did not. He did not. He was spying on them. He was spying on his COINTELPRO. Oh, Mississippi Burning. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, that's great, isn't it? To have your history completely, just absolutely whitewashed and trashed. Pretend that the FBI loved black folk. Gene Hackman's playing an FBI agent that he cared about the black folk. Willem Dafoe, and he cared. FBI guy, he cared. He cared. It's just totally, totally nonsensical. And it's an insult to you as a student of history, dear listener, that film was even allowed to get made. You can make anything. You can make garbage. But I'm sorry, 1964, United States of America, Federal Bureau of Investigation, really? Friends to black people? No. Definitely, that's a hard pass. But ever since I saw Frances McDormand in such said movie, Mississippi Burning, said movie, she's been brilliant. She's been really good, and she was good in I think she was terrific in Fargo. Fargo, to me, was the best work she's done. She won for that. And she won again for the, again, the toxic masculinity shit kicker role for a woman to play. And that's what she played. Oversimplifying, I know, but that's true. And I know there's some fans of Three Billboards. I am not one of them, of those. But it's going to be between Viola Davis and Frances McDormand tonight. And I really think it's going to be very close. I can't pick a winner. If I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Frances McDormand. But I don't know. I think I have a sneaky feeling about Viola Davis. I don't know. I'd be very happy for her. Again, it's not her best work. It's not the best in this category. But I do think that if you had to say this or you'll never, whatever, I would pick Viola Davis. I think that, again, me picking this is not whether I think she's the best, is what I think the Academy voted. That's the trick of this. And you'll get people go, what? You think that this person was great? It's not what I think. It's what I'm predicting the Academy is thinking. And I am most definitely not the Academy. Because there are, of course, such a, and it's being changed now. There is a bit more diversity and inclusion. But that's because of people like Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who at the time she was Academy president, put this into place, put this into gear, put this into motion to inclusify this darn body. Because it's so white and vanilla. And I'm sorry, you cannot have one group of people, a vast majority of a body of an awards group, voting on art that comes from all over the world, and you're only getting one group of people? One group of people to do that? Come on. Art comes from all over the world, and only a group of white people essentially are reviewing it and rating it and nominating the people who do it. That is very apartheid to me, right? Apartheid or apartheid, but apartheid is the proper pronunciation. That is exactly what that seems to me to be. A small group picking, dominating and controlling who wins and who doesn't. Really? I don't think so. Those days have got to end. And yesterday, or 70 or 90 odd years ago. But if I had to pick who I think the Academy is going to choose tonight, who I think is going to be giving an acceptance speech tonight, and Best Actress, it's going to probably be Viola Davis. And I think that's probably going to happen. Supporting actress role, I'm going to go through these a lot quicker. Maria Bakalova for the Borat movie. I'm not going to read out that long-ass title. There's about 20 words in that title. I'm not going to read them. And I did not see Borat, so I can't tell you anything. I did not see Hillbilly Elegy, Glenn Close. I'm not going to say. I don't know. Olivia Colman, The Father. I did not see that. I have not seen most of any of these films. Mank, not a great movie. Amanda Seyfried, who is, I think she's a really smart person. I interviewed her a few years back. I know there are people who make these jokes about her in that infamous picture, which is not photoshopped, apparently. Anyway. But she is in Mank. She did a good job in that movie. I don't think the movie was very good, by the way. Yoo Jung-yoon for Minari. Now, this is a very possible one. Now, look, having not seen those others, I think it's very possible we could have Yoo Jung-yoon as the winner in this category. Very possible. In Minari, which I think you should see. I really do. Hillbilly Elegy, Glenn Close. Hillbilly Elegy, not a particularly riveting piece of work. I thought Glenn Close was, I've seen clips of it. I've not watched the whole thing. I didn't see from the clips I saw, which is really not fair to judge. I didn't see anything that would compel me to sit through it, but the clips I saw of Glenn Close were very good. So I can't give a judgment properly on this category, except to say I think that Yoo Jung-yoon was really good in Minari. I think she's really good. Now for the Best Actor. In a leading role, Riz Ahmed's Sound of Metal. I said Sound of Steel or Sound of Garbage or something. whatever I said. But it's Sound of Metal. That's the name of this. Riz Ahmed. It's great to see some diversity and inclusion. Chadwick Boseman, Maureen's Black Bottom. Anthony Hopkins, the father. Anthony Hopkins was a nominee just last year for that movie where he played the Pope. One of the two popes. Then it was Gary Oldman for Mank and Stephen Yeun for Minari. This is a pretty good category here. I do think there could have been other people in this category, but they weren't here. But this still got some very good nominees. I was not that impressed with Gary Oldman in Mank. Stephen Yeun in Minari, he was very good. I did not see The Father, so I couldn't tell you. And I did not see Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal, but I did see Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And I think had he still been here with us, I would have picked him for Best Actor in this group of people because he was very good. Again, I did not see Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal. I didn't see the movie. But Chadwick Boseman was very good. And some people ask, well, had he still been here, would he have been nominated? I think he would have been. I definitely think he would have been. And some people would say, well, would he have won? Because he's going to win posthumously. That is going to happen. It's like with Heath Ledger. But Heath Ledger really was good, as is Chadwick Boseman here. So I think he will win. I think that's a pretty safe one. He's won pretty much every award on the way here. He's won NAA. He's won pretty much every award going on. I think he won the Globe. I mean, he's won pretty much everything. Screen Actors Guild. I'd be shocked if posthumously this one does not go to Chadwick Boseman. I'd be shocked. And he deserves it. You know, his late, well, put it this way, his widow, his wife. I hate widow. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Chadwick Boseman was barely in his 40s. Anyway, but his wife, I'm more comfortable saying that than saying widow. It just sounds like, oh, you know. But the point is that she will be picking up an Oscar tonight for him. In a supporting role actor, Sacha Baron Cohen, The Trial of Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya, Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. in One Night in Miami, Paul Raci in Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield, Judas and the Black Messiah. Now, all of these performances, I saw clips of Sounds of Metal, a bit of it, clip. Paul Raci was very good, but I think these other ones are also very good. Sacha Baron Cohen was good in The Trial of Chicago 7, but I don't know. I was not that impressed with that movie. Really, I wasn't. But Judas and Black Messiah was a good film. And, wow, two really good performances. Although, I think Daniel Kaluuya was very compelling. I think he's going to win. Leslie Odom Jr. was very good also in One Night in Miami. I think he was playing, oh gosh, who was he playing? I can't remember. But anyway, I think it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya. And it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya tonight. And I hope it is. And now, I think I'll turn our attention to Best Director. So let's go there, shall we? And we'll go to Best Picture afterwards. Nominees for Best Director, another round, Thomas Vinterberg. I just don't know how that's here. And I love Thomas Vinterberg. I just think his best film was The Celebration. Festen, really good film. And he was excellent. That was excellent director. I did not think Another Round was particularly good. Mank, David Fincher. He's directed better movies. And his directing's been better elsewhere. Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. Again, good direction. It was very well done. And then the last two here. Nomadland, Chloe Zhao, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Both of those were directed exceptionally well. It's the first time we've seen two women in the Best Directing category. And Chloe Zhao won the DJ award for Nomadland. Chloe Zhao won for pretty much everything to do with directing. She won the BAFTA, she won this, she won that, she won that, she won the other, she won that, She won all of these awards. So that ain't gonna change here. Chloe Zhao will become the first Asian woman, the first Asian female to win a Best Directing award. Ang Lee won for Life of Pi a number of years back. And you would have thought that he would have won for something else other than that, because I didn't think Life of Pi was that good. But this film is that good. Nomadland is a really great film. And Chloe Zhao's direction was absolutely stupendous. It really was. Let's go now to Best Movie, or Best Picture. And there are 8 of those nominees. The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. Now, this is going to come down to, essentially, 2 movies. 2 movies. One of them is, 3 movies. One of them is Mank. The Academy leans to films like this. Films that celebrate Hollywood or celebrate, the industry tend to do very well at the Oscars. They don't always. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which wasn't necessarily a celebration of the movie industry, but it definitely was about the movie industry for sure. And it did not win Best Picture, but it did win at least 3 Oscars. And yeah, they were all deserving. Trust me, Brad Pitt was superb. The costume designers and the production designers were superb. The production design won as well, as I remember. At least 2 Oscars it won. Maybe it won 3, but at least 2. And it was really good for the second straight year to see women winning the production design. They did the previous year. Is that right, or am I wrong on that? I may be wrong on that. But when Black Panther won, which was 2019... Yeah, no, I'm right, because Black Panther won in 2019 for production design, among other things, costume design, and a couple of, I think they won 4 Oscars, Black Panther. And 2 of those were costume design and production design, and both of them were women. Both of them were black women on top of that, too, which is really great. And this is only the second time now, last year, that women won for production design. And there's a good chance it could happen again. But anyway, Nomadland is one of the movies you're going to be looking at tonight. Mank is possible. And I do think that the other movie that is on this list is the Trial of the Chicago 7. It won the PGA award, which is another important thing. If I'm not mistaken, that did win the PGA. If I'm wrong, tell me, but I don't think I am. And so if that's the case, most likely, often enough, it happens almost all the time, but not quite all the time. The film that won the Producers Guild Award, the PGA, is the film that's going to end up winning the Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Now, it doesn't always happen. There's been about 6 or 7 or 8 times in the history of the Oscars where that film did not go on to win for the just go brain freeze. I don't know. By the way, I need to make a correction here. The Producers Guild Award went to Nomadland. The Screen Actors Guild Award went to The Trial of the Chicago 7. So I think what's going to happen here is, because of that, I do think we're going to see Nomadland winning Best Picture. It is actually the picture that needs to win. If you look at all of these, although Judas and the Black Messiah also one that I could put on that list as well. Trial of Chicago 7, I think it was way too theatrical. Good movie, but not a great movie. Nomadland was a great movie. And of all these films, the film that to me, and I didn't see all of them, I didn't see Sound of Metal. I didn't see The Father. I didn't, but the others I did. And I think of all of those, I think it's Nomadland. It's got to be, hasn't it? So there we go. Those are the Oscars. In a nutshell, in essence, they get underway at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time, U.S. on this Sunday, April 25th, 2021, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. on this same day. So by the time you listen to this podcast episode, this Oscars, these things could have already happened. So, anyway. But anyhow, that's that. When I come back, dear listener, you're going to hear Halle Berry's speech in full. And I want to remind people that the Academy Awards, the actual live ceremony, the actual telecast, begins at 5 p.m. Pacific time tonight, April 25th, 2021. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, which in the UK would be 1 a.m. UK time on Monday morning, April 26th. So, 2021. So there you go. And it will be broadcast in live in over 200 countries. When I come back, the speech you've been waiting to hear. It's the one you've been waiting for, in full, from Halle Berry from 2002. So, no host in the Academy Awards. There was no host last year, and that will continue this time tonight. And I think it's a good idea. We don't need any more hosts. I think it's just good to go straight through and get these awards presented and be done. And I hope that the Oscars are enjoyable for you, for those of you who like to watch such things. I am one of them. I'm a sucker for Oscar. I do love the Academy Awards, even though I don't love its history, because its history is completely racist and misogynistic, and the kinds of performances that win are very denigrating performances in a lot of instances. Not all instances, but in a lot of instances. And the people who win are winning for things that is not their best work. It's a very political thing. And, an Academy Award president once said to me that the Academy Awards is not political. When I asked him, yes, it's a he, do you think the Academy is political? Don't you see that? No, it's not a political thing. No, yeah, right. Oh, please. Come on. That's like saying I'm not black. I mean, give me a friggin' break. Of course the Oscars is political. Of course they are. The fact that when Michael Moore won and he started to talk about things going on in the world and he got booed, what the hell's that? And the fact that Sachin Littlefeather had to come up and give a speech for Marlon Brando and talk about Native Americans being horribly represented on film, on screen. Are you kidding? Generations upon Oh, it's not political. Oh, no, of course not. The fact that Denzel Washington did not win for Malcolm X, and instead Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman, a film that you've all forgotten, a performance that you've pretty much forgotten. And then all the time you see Denzel as Malcolm X, you think, bloody hell, he'll never do anything as good as this again. And I'm sorry, it's right. He hasn't. Well, there have been some. Flight was very good. His performance in that was really good. But anyway, he won on this night in 2002. And on this night, actually March 7th, 2002, I think, somewhere around there, whenever that was. But I should tell you, dear listener, that on that night too, in 2002, Sidney Poitier got his his Lifetime Achievement Award. Not honorary, it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. That's a significant Oscar. And Halle Berry made history as the first black woman to win Best Actress. And you could have Viola Davis do that tonight for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I think it could happen. It's very possible. Very possible. Could happen. It may well be, though, Frances McDormand. We'll see. But let me tell you this. Cast your mind back now. In your mind. 19 years ago. What were you doing 19 years ago? Well, this is what Halle Berry was doing 19 years ago. Giving this particular acceptance speech at the Academy Awards in 2002.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. This moment is so much bigger than me. This moment is for Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, Diane Carroll. It's for the women that stand beside me Jada Pinkett, Angela Bassett, Vivica Fox, and it's for every nameless, faceless woman of color that now has a chance because his door tonight has been opened. Thank you. I'm so honored. I'm so honored, and I thank the Academy for choosing me to be the vessel for which is blessing my flow. Thank you. I want to thank my manager, Vincent Cirenzione. He's been with me for 12 long years, and you've fought every fight, and you've loved me when I've been up, but more importantly, you've loved me when I've been down. You have been a manager, a friend, and the only father I've ever known. Really, and I love you very much. I want to thank my mom, who's given me the strength to fight every single day to be who I want to be, and to give me the courage to dream that this dream might be happening and possible for me. I love you, Mom, so much. Thank you. My husband, who is just the joy of my life. In India, thank you for giving me peace. Because only with the peace that you've brought me have I been allowed to go to places that I never even knew I could go. Thank you. I love you in India. All my heart. I want to thank Lionsgate. Thank you. Mike Pasternak, Tom Ortenberg, for making sure everybody knew about this little tiny movie. Thank you for believing in me. Our director, Mark Forrester, you're genius. You're genius. This movie-making experience was magical for me because of you. You believed in me, you trusted me, and you gently guided me to very scary places. Thank you. I want to thank Ivana Chubbuck. I could have never figured out who the heck this lady was without you. I love you. Thank you. I want to thank Lee Daniels, our producer. Thank you for giving me this chance, for believing that I could do it. And now tonight, I have this. Thank you. I want to thank my agent, CAA, Josh Lieberman, especially. I have to thank my agents, Kevin Uvain. Thank you. Thank you for never kicking me out and sending me somewhere else. Thank you. Who else? I have so many people that I know I need to thank. My lawyers, Neil Meyer. Thank you. Okay, wait a minute. I gotta take this 74 years here. Okay, I gotta take this time. I gotta thank my lawyer, Neil Meyer, for making this deal. Doug Stone. I need to thank, lastly and not leastly, I have to thank Spike Lee for putting me in my very first film and believing in me. Oprah Winfrey for being the best role model any girl can have. Joel Silver, thank you. And thank you to Warren Beatty. Thank you so much for being my mentors and believing in me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, my goodness. Do you have goosebumps yet? Do you have goosebumps yet? I do. And I have an advantage here because I'm actually watching this as I've played it to you. And if you want to watch this, you can find it on YouTube. It's part of the Academy Awards YouTube channel, Oscars channel. And I will replicate this into a newsletter. I know the newsletter has not been around for a week now, but it will be. And this will be in as part of it. Oh, my goodness me. And, you know, even in those moments of that speech moved me. And it still does. I haven't watched that speech or listened to it until now, since the time it was given way back in 2002. That's 19 years ago. I watched it live at the time. Maybe some of you did as well. Oh my gosh, it still resonates. And the moment where she says, which part of it for you? I mean, for all of it for me. But the part when she says, it's 74 years here. 74 years. I've got so, you know, that part grabbed me. That part, among other parts of it. 74 years, the 74. I've got 74 years here. She's holding it in her hand. It's been 74 years of, at that time, that was the 74th Academy Awards. And at that time, there was no other black woman that had ever won in the previous 73 years of those awards. What a disgrace the Academy is. There was no performance that a black woman did in those previous 73 years of Oscar that you thought deserved or should have won? Really? Oh, God. It's just so it's just insulting, you know? And racist, obviously. It's just, come on. Really? And then some of the people that won during those 73 previous years, you look at them like, how the hell do you win? Your performance ain't shit. How did you get this Oscar? Just put the thought bubble in there and imagine, right? What things that I don't know. I'm not even trying to go there. I'm just saying, what did you do to deserve that Oscar? I'm not talking about Halle Berry. I'm talking about some of these other folks who win these things. And you're like, I'm not going to name names now, but you know the names. And you know the speeches. The speeches that don't amount to shit. And there's that, oh my God. And even though Halle Berry did a little bit of that, think about that. And think about why. And think about that moment. She was the first black woman in, at that time, the 74, not 7-4 as in 7 plus 4 equals 11 years, but 7-4 as in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus 4 years of Oscar history. She was the first black woman to win Best Actress. 2002. Come on. The Academy started doing this in what? 1927, 28? Something like that. So it's just, come on. So excuse her and excuse me and excuse us if Halle Berry stumbles a little bit and is forgetting to thank people in a moment that was so incredible and intense and historic. Excuse her for trying to remember names. And it was kind of funny when she said, I'd like to thank my agent. Yeah. Can't forget that person. Can't forget the lawyers. It's such a business, Hollywood. And it's such a business. The Oscars are a business. And you know, right, that it's part of my cynicism, but it's the truth. You know that a lot of these winners who win, it's about grooming the next star for Hollywood studios so that those studios can make a big buck off of those Oscar winners. You do know that, right? You do know that some of the people who win these things are winning not necessarily because their performance is so great, but because that's the star of the future for us. That's our cash cow. That's our golden goose. And we're going to ride it. That's what that is. A lot of that is, here's the next new thing on the street. Here's the next new kid on the street. We're going to do this. And it's about making money off of somebody. Really. Honestly. Oh, the next trailer featuring Academy Award winner Carey Mulligan. Come on. I mean, we'll see if that's the case tonight for Carey Mulligan, who again, was very good in Promising Young Woman. Promising indeed. But that's how it's done in Hollywood. Honestly. It's about star making. It's about this person wins the Oscar so that we can now groom them to star in all of these movies that they're going to star in, give them a higher profile, and we're going to try to maximize our investment. I'm telling you, I know it's brutal, I know it's cynical, I know it's cruel. I know it's hugely reductionist for me to say something like that, but I know that it's also true. And so do you. You know that that is true. It's almost always true. Now look, some people winning Oscar has not been a success, right? Gwyneth Paltrow is a really good example of this in the year 1999 with Shakespeare in Love. And the year 1998 was when that movie came out. So the next year, 1999, was the year that movie was in the Oscars for the Best Picture. It should never have won Best Picture, and she should never have won Best Actress. But she did. And her career basically went downhill after that, right? Judi Dench won in that same film. Judi Dench was actually good, and she deserved it. I thought she was really good. But I'm sorry, that movie was horrible. But again, Harvey Weinstein, who produced that movie. That's what happens. It's star-making vehicles. And that flopped. Lou Gossett Jr., he was not given a very good career afterwards either, when he won for An Officer and a Gentleman in 1983 or 4. And that should never have been, but, again, I attribute that to racism in that industry. In Hollywood. Yes, racism exists in Hollywood. I think you should do your homework. Those out there listening who have doubts about that should do their homework. So, look, I think that that's what the Oscars are a lot about, is about star-making vehicles. And that ruins the whole thing, right? And then the people who really should be winning, who maybe these execs or these people who are Academy members may not look at as star-making vehicles or they may not, right? So then people who do really great work, they don't get to win. And that's not always true, of course, because a lot of people who've done great work do win. But then there's some who don't, right? And, I can think of many, but then the speeches that you hear that are so horrible. And Halle Berry's, by the way, does not fit in the horrible category. I just think it was a really good speech. That's why I played the whole thing for you just now. So you could really listen to that, because that was an amazing speech. It was really good. And considering all of the circumstances around it, and by the way, Mark Forster directed Monsters Ball. If I did say, and I don't remember whether I did or not, but if I had said otherwise, then I apologize. Whether I mentioned his name or not, I don't think I did. But that film was directed by Mark Forster. And in this, when you see the speech of Halle Berry saying what you just heard, you see the camera shots going to people like Sidney Poitier, and you just look at Sidney Poitier, and it's just amazing. What a king, huh? Oh, goodness. Absolute royalty. And then you also look at Sissy Spacek and Nicole Kidman and Renee Zellweger, and they've got these looks on their faces. You don't know if they're sincere or not. You get a sense that they may be. Dame Judi Dench, you can tell, is sincere. And then you see Halle Berry's mother, and you see Halle Berry's husband, Eric Benet. Ooh, good. Knowing what we know about Eric Benet. Oh, my goodness me. And he stands up and he applauds her. And it's really creepy now, looking back 19 years later in hindsight, because he abused her, and he beat her, and it was, God. Oh, God. It's so cringeworthy when I see the camera on him, and she's like, I love my husband. Didn't mention his name, of course. I love my husband. Oh, my God. It's so cringeworthy. I don't know what to say. But it was cringeworthy. And if you watch the video now, which you probably won't, because it may be triggering for those who have experienced domestic violence, it's a really, really uncomfortable thing to see that now. Not Halle Berry, not to see her, but to see Eric Benet in close-up as he's jumping up and down, applauding, and this guy, it's just so painful. And also to know that Halle Berry on stage just a year later, when she was presenting the Best Actor Award, and Adrian Brody won it for The Pianist, and his career's gone downhill too, by the way. Speaking of people who win the Oscar, and speaking of the idea that Oscar ain't necessarily the best thing, it wasn't for him, and the way he behaved was despicable. He sexually assaulted Halle Berry on that stage. Hello? I mean, if you really want an example, well, actually, you don't really want to see an example of sexual assault played out in front of you. But that is it. That's as close as it gets, folks. Open mouth kissing of Halle Berry, ramming your tongue down her throat. If that's not some kind of sexual assault or sexual harassment, I don't know what is. Doing it live in front of everybody. Millions, billions of people watching. It was just horrible and tasteless. And no pun intended. That was just disgusting. And he should have his... You know what? Adrian Brody should have had his blimmin' Oscar stripped on that alone. Oh my God, and Halle Berry to play it off the way she did. I don't know. I mean, that was an acting moment right there, because I'm sure she was pissed that she just got sexually assaulted before the world on a stage. Really? That's how you behave? And at the time, nobody said anything, because, you know, when white men do this to black women, it's blamed on the black woman. You know, when Justin Timberlake does this to to Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl, around the same time, around 2002 or so, whatever it was, around the same time. No one said anything. They blamed it on Janet. Oh, Janet's wardrobe malfunctioned. Not that Justin Timberlake's brain and his hand combined and coordinated to do that freaking, dastardly, cowardly, bullshitty thing that he did. And so you see, for about a split second, doesn't matter if it's a split second or not, the nipple of Janet Jackson showing. And everybody absolutely had a meltdown about seeing her nipple, but not a meltdown about the fact that Justin Timberlake did what he did. It's like, give me a break. Oh, the black woman's to blame. Oh, really? Oh, Halle Berry's to blame. Is she? Oh, the men in her life, she's to blame. She's attracting the wrong one. Well, why is it placed on the black woman? Why is that? What? Say why. Why is that the issue? And not the harasser or the abuser? Come on. Whether it's Eric Benet or Adrian Brody or Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, come on. Can you actually focus on their behavior and not on the people who are victimized by them, or the survivors, I should say, and their behavior? Come on now. But of course, it's Hollywood. It's Super Bowl. We don't want to take away from the extravaganza. We don't want to do that, so we got to blame the woman. Right? No, wrong. Enjoy your Oscar night, everybody, please. Please do. And don't forget, tune in again tomorrow, because I will be talking about the Oscars again. Not all episode, but I will be talking about them. What happened? What didn't happen? What should have happened? It's all coming up. Stick with me on the Politicrat Daily Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your Oscar night. And thank you very much again for listening to this edition of the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore.